A women's-only group fitness studio in Brooklyn is facing backlash after allegations surfaced online of the gym not being inclusive. The controversy started online when a woman using ClassPass reached out to the studio to inquire about the gym and its classes. In a series of messages that were posted on Instagram, a representative from the fitness studio said that the women-only studio requires members to be female at birth, after the woman revealed she is transgender. I spoke with that woman about how this impacted her finding a gym that is safe for trans women and what accountability looks like.
I always have this inclination to just like really just overtly state like, I am trans, I'm a trans woman of experience. And I just want to make sure that that's okay, or that's being affirmed when coming into the space. And the response I got was very discriminatory and demeaning. Essentially, they said, we require the women that attend our space to be women from birth. My definition of accountability is understanding the impact that you have with your words, the spaces that you use or take up. A lot of it is very much impact versus intention, because at the end of the day, this establishment prides itself on including all women. But if you're excluding trans women, is it all women?
We reached out to Box Studios for a comment, but they did not respond. Laura, how does the inclusion of trans women in fitness spaces or any space that you may frequent, how does that impact you, or does that impact you?
No, trans women are women, and denying them, I don't think protects anyone. If anything, I think it hurts them. And if we don't make space for them, where do they fit? They're not men. They are women. There's no in between. I just really think it comes down to a lack of education there with whomever is leading this class or this organization. They really should look into more training for DEI to include more people, to be more inclusive of the trans community.
Right. I totally. What do you think about this?
I am conflicted because I'm thinking back on a somewhat similar situation. Not really. It was a coffee shop in Colorado that made it clear that they did not support queer people or whatever because of religious reasons, but they would still serve them. But in this case, it's like, okay, well, you could live whatever you want, but you just can't do it here. So that's where I'm kind of at like a dilemma here, wondering like, okay, well, you can't consider yourself a queer-friendly space. I don't know if they do or not, if you're not accepting all queer people. And I feel like queer places, like people that you'll see maybe a rainbow flag in the window or something, knowing that they're like, hey, this is a queer-friendly space. The people that frequent those establishments are also comfortable with it being a queer-friendly place, so it doesn't have to be that. So as long as they're not marketing themselves as a queer-friendly space, if they want to be bigots and exclude an entire demographic of people, I mean, go for it, as long as they know that that's the message that they're sending out.
Yeah, I haven't seen where they market it as a queer-friendly studio, but they're in New York City, which is one of like a cultural mesh pot gumbo of everybody. So it's surprising to me to hear like a studio. But to read a bit of the message, she identified herself, the person she was looking for the studio. She reached out to them via Instagram. And they was like, absolutely, this is a studio for women like you. And she wanted to lead with like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I'm trans. Does that affect anything? And the message she receives is, we do require our members to be female from birth, and nothing that will give other members the assumption that there is a male in the fitness class. Other than that, what you do in your private time is not our business. Does that make sense?
And not that they require, first of all, that was nasty work.
Very nasty.
But two, are they checking everybody's birth certificate to see if they were assigned male or female, the sex at birth?
But this goes down to a different type of discrimination, where they're like, what you're really saying is like, we need women
to pass.
Being like, do they have any trans women historically, like, passable or not passable? And I think that comes down to, do they have male features or characteristics that would alarm our community, which I think there's an ignorance in that in itself. Absolutely. And that it's disruptive, I believe.
A lot of times too, people think like there's going to be like some sort of assault with trans women being involved in all women settings, but studies have shown that straight men typically are the ones that would go forward with any of those attacks.
Right.
So I don't know, something is not fitting in there, but it definitely, those studies do show that there's less chances of a trans person attacking.
Ignorance comes down to ignorance.
Absolutely. And try your best to put yourself in spaces where you are accepted and you know you won't be othered. Because like, I'm definitely like with her and her journey and her fight and like what she's complaining about and what she's fighting for. But at the same time, I'm like, please don't kill yourself over this. Like, go where you want to.
I think that was a part of her journey, like being, like when I talked to her, she's very specific about, she just had gender affirming care and surgery, and she wanted to make sure she found a place as a trans woman that was safe and inclusive.
Gotcha.
And this is something that she found on ClassPass, so she reached out to make sure it was a space, and eventually she found out that it wasn't.
Now we learn. Now we know, but we definitely will be keeping up with this, and like we'll bring updates as we learn more.